different time, but it was a different time when Jason Thompson was here as well, and we're excited to catch up with the former King, Jason Thompson, from, where are you, in Spain right now, JT?
I am in Spain, yes. What's going on?
Oh, man, how are you?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. Other than this pandemic that's worldwide, I'm quarantining day 8 of quarantine, which not the best, but it's better to be safe than sorry, I guess.
Well, I was always going to ask you, JT, so you're in Spain, which is not too far from Italy, and we're hearing about all the horrific things that are going on there. How is it in Spain? Obviously, you're quarantining, but it is... I know how it is over here. I hear how it is in Italy, but I mean, you're all good on supplies and everything? Are you just chilling and playing 2K or something, I hope?
Yeah, I mean, reading up on Netflix and movies and 2K, Madden, all those type of things. And like you said, have certain businesses and stuff as well that you're keeping up on. But yeah, I mean, sometimes the media, which you guys are big on, sometimes it gets overly hyped in some areas and stuff. I mean, it is very serious all over. So, like I said, I mean, it's not like it's, panic in the streets and stuff like that. But, there are certain areas where there's lockdown and things like that, just for precaution. You'd rather have situations like that rather than everyone going around, because like you said, we're in a situation where people don't even know if they have it because they may not show symptoms or they are showing symptoms.
Yeah, here, it's still relatively newer for the United States, and not a lot of testing is going on. What's it like there for you and your league? Are there required tests? Has that happened for you?
Yeah, I mean, some have, some haven't. I just think that, if you played against a guy that's had it, then you stay quarantined, you get tested, and then, see how things are. Everyone's situation and thing is different depending on the team and stuff like that. It's crazy that, when the virus was there, going on, I was in the States, and then I had signed to play in Spain for the remainder of the season, and then it somehow came over here. So I guess it's just a knack of, being everywhere, which is unfortunate, but safety and health is most important.
JT the Kid, Jason Thompson, our old friend, joining us. And Jason, you play, obviously, put America aside. You played in China, Turkey, China, and now you're in Spain. Do you have a favorite? Let's put Spain aside, too, because I don't want you to get in trouble. Do you have a favorite? Does any jump out at you? Or are you just enjoying all the experiences, really, of playing basketball and seeing the world?
Yeah, I don't think it's a favorite in particular. You have fond memories pretty much anywhere you go, and you don't ever take it for granted. So, like each and every year to be able to play the game you love is a blessing. I think, guys don't really realize that until they're done playing and stuff like that, and it's a little too late. So if you could be able to appreciate the years that you could play at a high level and be able to make a lot of money in the one sport that you love, that you've been playing since you were 5 or 6 years old, it's a blessing.
I got to ask you, I spent a couple of weeks in China not that long ago, and I could not find there were a couple things I like to eat, but I really struggled with the food. I'm curious, you've been there twice now. Is there something that's kind of native to over there that you found that you really love food-wise?
Oh, I mean, I've been, I'm fortunate enough to just, know many people worldwide and stuff. So for me, food wasn't hard. You have like certain areas where I would barely even eat Chinese food. There was a lot of, foreigner places to go. I lived in Beijing this past year. So, I mean, they had Cheesecake Factory, they had Applebee's. I mean, they had everything. So, I mean, it just depends on, I guess, the city and things like that. Obviously, we all try to, experience different type of food with the culture and stuff. But, like I said, it wasn't that hard if you just, you kind of ask around and things like that. But I wouldn't say there was anything in particular that I was fond of.
Okay.
Just the experience in every city is different.
Well, continuing our series of catching up with the Kings, we're joined right now by former King Jason Thompson. And JT, when you started your career, this is where it all began for you, your professional career, drafted by the Kings. You really jumped right into the community, did a bunch of stuff community-wide here. So obviously you had an impact in this community. What are some of your fondest memories of being a King and being in Sacramento?
Man, it's whirlwind of emotion. Obviously, you have me being from 3,000 miles away from New Jersey, and then finally coming to California and being a kid out of Ryder to go to this great organization that had a lot of history. You pretty much don't really get to look back at things until, you get a little bit older and wiser and look at, some of the unfortunate situations that you have to go through as a young kid, when, the changing of ownership, me having 8 different coaches in 8 years, when now that's not very heard of in the new day and age of NBA. The style of play where, it's more post-up and mid-range, and now the mid-range is pretty much dead. And, with me just having tons of different teammates and different draft picks and, it just, like I said, even being throughout the time of keeping the Kings in Sacramento, I was part of that,
Yep.
with you guys as well. So, it's even great to be able to talk to you guys and still have the team, there with the new arena and things like that too. So, for me to be around all the whirlwind of emotions and events is crazy, and that's not even the half of all the stuff that I've been through in the 7 years that I was with the organization.
Jason Thompson's being humble too, because
Yeah.
he was so active back then. And I remember when we had the ladder out at that last game, and Jason and Francisco and Tyreek all came out and talked. Jason was great enough to sit down for our documentary afterwards. And Jason, I've known you forever. You were my rookie guest on the old nighttime show, and we had some great times. You, me, and Dante. I remember you buying. I think when you bought your first car, didn't you get popcorned? Was that you or Dante? One of you got popcorned.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was the one that turned into 1 million views in like 5 minutes. It's crazy.
on the Dante Green show. So when I look back at that, it makes me feel old, because I remember you being a rookie. I remember you being the whole wide-eyed, bushy-tailed kid from Ryder. Now I look back, it's 12 years ago, my man. Like 12 years ago, we were going to Mountain Lions games and doing all that stuff. Do you ever look back on that time and think I'm imagining it flew by?
Yeah, just from hearing all the guys in the league now and other places, guys occupying their time, I actually went back to YouTube and just started looking at some things, man. Because like you said, like regardless of maybe of the success of the team, man, it's just so many really, good memories, because you can only really control what you can control of the cards that were dealt in front of all of us. For you guys to still, be strong and in love for obviously the city and the team, man, it shows a lot of the compassion, and you guys don't really get enough credit for the passion that you have for a team that, that you want to get, to the top, and it's hard to do. But like you said, yeah, man, the Dante Green show, the Goon Squad, Sign Lady and Nico.
Yep.
Man, it just, like I said, like I remember we played the Lakers and got a win, and then I think we were unsure if, we were going to ever play either, but come back in Sacramento and ever play again. I just remember the emotion of Grant and Jerry, and
yep.
And then I coming back from after all the interviews and coming and shaking all the fans' hands and stuff, man. Because, like you said, man, it was a crazy time of uncertainty of knowing if we were ever going to play in that city again. So, like I said, it was a lot of special times. Unfortunate that it wasn't, as much success as we all want. But like you said, it's, as you can see, it's very hard to do in this day and age.
Well, you mentioned you had so many different teammates, coaches as well. How many of those guys do you still keep in contact with?
That'd be Dante.
I would say a solid amount. I still talk to Dante still see Pooh, talk to Pooh. I had talked to Cisco maybe years ago. Man. I mean, I've seen other guys throughout the way, like, J.J. Hickson and talked to IT, Reek, and who else? Quincy Acey. I've seen Thomas Robinson, Nick Skauskas, Jimmer, of course. I still keep in contact with him. D. Will. Yeah, man. Because like I said, me being the longest tenure, man. I just had a good relationship with a lot of the guys, man. Because when guys would come on the team, they would ask me places to go, things to do, to occupy themselves with their friends and family, and since I pretty much knew the city with the back of my hand, I used to be the guy to give them the advice.
Most games played in Sacramento Kings history.
You have it.
Jason Thompson out of Ryder. And, Jason, we appreciate the time. We appreciate you checking. Honestly, it shouldn't take something like this for us to check in. You have so many people here that still love you, that still talk about you. And, stay safe out there in Spain. And let's talk again soon, my man.
Sounds good. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. Hope all is well.
Yes,
sir.
Stay safe.
Where the games aren't being played, The Drive needs something to fill the void. Movies and sports collide with the daily sports movie breakdown. Settle in as The Drive picks apart the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, and the funny of another classic sports movie. Hey,
Okay, our movie that was selected by you via the poll question yesterday was Major League. That was a movie you submitted, Dave.
Yes.
So you must love Major League.
So I don't know how many people were like this, but when I was a kid, my sister and I each got a videotape. That it was our own videotape, and you could fit about 3 movies if you recorded it slow enough. So on my videotape, I had Wildcats, Major League, and Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And those were, and she had like E.T., the one with Sarah Jessica Parker, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and I forget what the hell the other one was. But we would take turns watching movies. Well, Major League I watched all the time.
100 times.
I've watched Major League seriously probably closer to 300 to 400 times.
So more than any movie, or the other 2 as well.
I would say I probably watched Major League more than any other movie cover to cover in the world. Maybe Shawshank Redemption. Nah, Major League. It's Major League, Return of the Jedi, and E.T.
Okay.
So I love the movie. It's nostalgic for me, period.
Okay. Jay?
I absolutely loved it this time watching it as I have before. To me, the movie still holds up. It is still hilarious. And I don't know if that's maybe just nostalgia kicking in, because that movie is like one of the first baseball movies I ever watched. Mom and Dad probably shouldn't have let me do that, but hey, here we are. I don't know. I love the movie. I love the entire story of the underdog team and just kind of the adult way in which they do that, because most underdog stories are, usually for kids.
Yeah.
No, this was for grown men. Renee Russo.
Hey,
yeah.
Come on, what an actress.
And with the glasses.
An actress. I mean, Corbin Burnson is the overpaid.
Yep.
It hits every part of sports that, like, there's each character, like, you can equate that to, like, real life stories. And I think that's what I enjoy about that movie more than anything, outside the fact It's just kind of hilarious.
And I want to get to Jason's take because that's what we're going to talk about here. We may need to stretch this, but we'll talk about this movie for 2 hours and break it down frame by frame. I do want to say something about it, though. I think one of the things that's very underrated, because this isn't a drop-dead, hold-your-sides funny movie. It's just a very easy-to-watch movie to root for. The Bill Withers / Randy Newman songs. Randy Newman opens up the whole movie with Burn On about the Cuyahoga River. And what is it? Pennies on My Mind, or whatever the hell the theme to the whole movie that runs throughout by Bill Withers. Woke up one day. The music and those two songs. I hear that. I hear the Randy Newman song come on whenever that movie starts, and I'm instantly 12 years old again. So it is nostalgia. But it's also, Wheakweg's coffin, and it's the red-haired lady saying, "Oh, you have uniforms and everything." And, the whole thing is just, I love it.
I love the fact that Lou Brown's working at a tire shop, gets a call to manage a major league team. Can you get me to think about it?
I got some Y walls.
I got a guy on the other line about some Y walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's all go out there and give him a nice big crap burger to eat.
Yes.
Not what he said, but anyways, Jason.
So.
I'm crouching.
I watched this movie when it came out in 1989.
Yeah.
That's peak when I'm playing baseball. Still probably have dreams of being a Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I obviously haven't seen it as many times as you. I would have said Major League, fired up. Major League's great.
Sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've seen it now that I think about it, because I know I saw it then, probably saw it 10 times back then.
Sure.
And if it's been on, maybe just a quick glimpse or whatever. And so what I had remembered most was Bob Uecker, and who to me was fantastic.
Who gives a blank? No one's listening.
I literally forgot about Rene Russo, so that was a pleasant surprise. And it's funny that you said Randy Newman right when it started. I go, oh, Randy Newman, he is great.
He is.
So I was in a feel-good place, and then I'm watching it. And I think maybe just to backtrack to what you had just said, it's not one of those side,
No.
I would have said, oh, Major League is funny. It's hilarious. So last night, it was like a new rewatch. I laughed at one part, and I was disappointed. And it was always, to me, it's subtle things, so maybe I don't remember this. They're literally in the wrataurant. It's what's his name? Jack Bradley?
Jack Bradley.
Bradley. What's his name?
Tom Berenger?
Yeah, what's his character?
Jake Taylor.
Jake Taylor.
Bradley. Way off. Jake Taylor.
Ricky Vaughn.
And
Wesley
Willie
Mays Hayes.
And Charlie Sheen, Ricky Vaughn, is wearing the leather without the sleeves and the tie. And he goes, I feel like a banker. Just that line. And
that
then
got you?
That, and then when they combine with, what language is this? He goes, it's French. And then when Charlie Sheen
turns it over,
I actually laughed.
Want me to drag him out of here?
But everything else, like, I have always loved Jobu.
Sure.
Serrano. I mean, that part. But again, it's not bad by any means. I just had I went, oh. It's to my review reminds me of Jay's yesterday, where he went, yeah, I like Dodgeball. Then I saw it and I went, meh. And that's how I went, wow, I'm kind of disappointed, when beforehand I was like, Major, this is going to be easy. I love this movie. And I watched it and I went, oh.
So you remembered it? Was it maybe that you went into there remembering it as like a funny comedy?
I think so, but usually that same thing applies. Like the nostalgia, that didn't hit me where I go, it's great. It's going to last. And I remember Euchre being great. And you know what? Another part I always laughed at, because I've used this line forever. My friends are probably like, yeah, you've used that before. But I didn't get it. That's too high.
Too high. Yeah, Randy Quaid.
What do you mean too high?
What do you mean too high?
Well, no, like the trajectory.
Who gives a blank? It's gone.
I always do that bit like on a field goal when someone's like, oh, is it good? I'm like, oh, nope, too high.
Not the construction workers. They're still poopy.
I think the one we've all used over and over is just a bit outside.
So it has lines.
Up your butt, Joe Boo.
There's memories.
Yeah.
He's walking out getting hit with a bat.
Are you saying Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball? I'm sorry.
Even him, we talked about Harris earlier, just seemed way older than the character.
Yep.
Corbin Burns and Dorn. I mean, I don't know.
Manager Lou taking a whiz on his contract.
Didn't hate it by any means. I loved it before, and I just went, oh.
I think I get it. Like, it's not a side-splitting comedy. That's not it.
And I think I remembered it that way.
It's a feel-good sports movie that's entertaining and humorous. And I think
still could play, like, as far as, trying to tank to move to Miami.
Sure.
She wants, she's got these guarantees.
A lot of similar. I mean, when the Sacramento thing rolled around, we used to joke about getting a picture of Gavin and ripping off his clothes until he was in like a Speedo, but nobody wanted to see that.
Right.
That. I think when I watch that movie, and that's why nostalgia is different for everybody. Speaking of Bill Russell, that's nostalgia for some people. When Major League comes on and Randy Newman starts playing, it's like me getting into a warm blanket that smells of my mother's perfume. I'm back at home and I'm comfortable and I'm a kid.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Maybe somebody watches it now and goes, eh. So you didn't rip it. That's fine.
No, I mean, the love story, I remember that, but I feel like that ends up being a bigger part of the movie with Berenger and Rene Russo. And then, she just split up with the guy? Like, we don't know really what happened, and she just shows up, hey, no ring.
No ring.
And then he chases her down in the golf cart.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Like, him...
it was okay.
There is, Jay.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you on this, too. There is a problem with the movie, though.
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So if you take it in today's context, Tom Berenger's kind of a creepy dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
I thought you were going somewhere else with this.
no, when you look at the movie and look at the efforts he's basically stalking Rene Russo the whole time. He broke into her house. And
shows up at the fiance's house.
Right. Like, by any other name, that's like
stalking.
That's stalking, dude.
Isn't it funny how in 2020 it's stalking and in 1989 it's romantic?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
It's charming.
He's the good-looking love interest you root for. So it's charming. Oh, he really showed her his love and all.
He was pursuing her.
Right, but in today it's like, bro, restraining order on Jake Taylor.
Jake Taylor's in jail 5 minutes into the movie.
And that's the end of Jake Taylor. Like, he's taking Charlie Sheen's cell.
See, where I thought you were going with this, though, was in that final game. They batted out of order.
They did?
Yeah, there's a whole thing on
Willie
that.
Mays Hayes, and then Taylor comes up.
No. Go look. I forget the exacts, but this has been proven for years.
The guy
now.
hits the fly ball to the wall that gets caught.
They bat out of order.
I got to go look at this. I never noticed that.
Look at it in the break.
Well,
the Indians should have been disqualified.
Oh, and the other
The
thing,
Yankees should be the champions of fake baseball 89.
yeah, what did they win? But I thought they were trying to come in first, so they were playing the Yankees as well. So was that the playoffs, or did they?
That got them into the playoffs because remember in Major League 2 they got swept by the White Sox in that playoffs.
Right.
So this was just getting to the. That's what they were celebrating.
They were trying to win the division.
Okay.
Remember, this is still 2-division baseball at this point.
That's
no wild
right.
cards.
So they won.
right.
That's what I wondered what they were celebrating. They won the division.
Right.
Okay.
And then also something I've always noticed, this is like the dumbest thing in the world, but remember when Tom Berenger bunts the ball at the very end?
Yeah.
And remember the third baseman with the mustache says a bad word?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's in slow-mo. They slowed down his mouth, but they didn't slow down the voice.
Oh.
And it matches perfectly even though it's in slow motion. They literally did work to make sure that the slow motion mouth that said the S word matched up with the voice itself. Then, come on, the snake. Willie Mays Hayes holding the snake.
Then he has the
pink slip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Lou Brown and Bob Uecker make the movie.
So,
they do.
Little fun fact: the year the movie came out, do you know who actually won the AL East?
In '89?
Yeah.
Wasn't Cleveland? Was it Cleveland?
No, Cleveland was the second to last.
I was going to say that.
With the Yankees being third to last.
The A's versus who did the A's play? Red Sox?
The Blue Jays.
Oh yeah.
Oh, was that the Ricky Henderson Blue Jays?
No, that's 93.
Okay. Forget the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater.
His voice.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Lou Brown.
All right.
Okay, well.
So right now, of the two movies, we would say quick ranking. For me, Dodgeball 1, Major League 2.
For me,
you guys are flipped?
Yeah.
Major League 1, Dodgeball 3.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I watched you watch Dodgeball. You laughed.
I did. I laughed at Dodgeball more than I laughed at Major League out loud.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. If I'm on a desert island, that's how I make my judgments. I'm keeping Major League.
the league was suspended and now put on hiatus until we don't know when, but we still get to check in each week from the Athletics. Sam Amick joining us this morning here on The Drive. Good morning, Sam. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Good. You all right?
Are you quarantined?
Finishing a little teeth brushing, getting rolling here. I'm quarantined.
Please tell me you're brushing your teeth like when we picked up.
I mean, I just finished. We're good.
I can tell you have
We're
fresh
getting
breath.
personal here.
You open the door, Sam.
Don't worry about me, Dave. Don't come at me with your stuff. You can't even keep rats out of your house, man. What's going on with you?
Wow. Sam 1, Dave 0.
Wow. Dude, yeah.
That also means I'm going to have a rat by the end of the day.
You should. Let me tell you, buddy, it ain't cheap and it ain't fun.
I hate to have fun at your expense.
No, you don't.
But true story, like you brought some levity to the end of the day. Like read the boys a bedtime story, say goodnight. Oh, wait, here's a fun video, kids. Look at this.
No, you didn't play it with sound, did you?
Oh, yeah, that was the best part. Come on. That was fun.
Okay, I just didn't know because I said a bad word there.
Yes.
It was.
No, but, I mean, they're 13 and 10. They hear it at school all the time. And
And from their dad.
they did. But yes, it did prompt, expressions of, oh, what did he say at the end? And then Emily, my wife, was laughing pretty hard. It was good. I mean, it's funny for us, but that's got to be, I can't believe the check you cut to try to solve that problem and do this is ridiculous. I'm feeling for you.
And I am going around every corner. Do you remember the movie The Shining?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, remember when Danny was riding his little tricycle and he turned the corner and there were the twin girls that were all jacked up? And the fear that Danny had turning them, that's how I am around every corner of my house. I think I'm going to see basically the equivalent of those twin girls from The Shining. That's what my mindset is right now.
Well, and the thing that struck me, and we've had occasionally problems like that, but not quite that personal, was just the dialogue between you and the rat is what cracked. Like the tone in your voice when you're trying to go to bed.
Yeah.
And it's, it was very intimate, and I feel for you. Now, this is not what your listeners are necessarily looking for, but I got to ask, that was a video of one. I mean, how many sightings have we had here?
Well, this all started with the first one.
Yeah, this is number 2.
And the first one that was on top of my downstairs bathroom door when I saw it and I was taking a leak. And that's the one that escaped. And then the next morning I come downstairs, my wife had put a trap on top of the fridge and the trap had snapped, but there was no rat. And then when I come around the corner, it was a murder scene on my floor. It was a dead rat with blood coming out of its mouth. It was a giant pool of blood. But we were hoping that was it. Then yesterday morning, same thing. There's a gray rat now on top of the bathroom door while I was taking a leak, and I end up trapping it in the bathroom, and then I bring out the exterminators at 11 a.m., and they promptly let the rat out of the bathroom by accident, and it went underneath our couch, and that was the rat that I was filming last night. Then this morning, all I'm doing is looking and listening. It's dead quiet. It's 3:30 in the morning. I heard a snap, and for a second, I thought that was one of the traps that were set, but it was the coffee maker. So everything's it's like a terror dome right now, Sam. They've sealed my house up. It cost me $2,000. There's traps everywhere that won't kill my chihuahua or my bunny. We should move on, but I called my homeowner's insurance. I wanted to see if I could burn the place down or go to an Airbnb. They said no. So it's kind of a war zone there right now, Sam, and I don't know.
Well,
my kids are at home alone right now with God knows how many vermins.
I mean, you got to listen to the people, man. You already unintentionally listed the problem: Chihuahua and bunny. Everybody on your Twitter feed told you need to get a cat.
I'm not getting a
cat.
People
were even well. Then borrow one. That was my other favorite part. In times of need, when people like yourself are doing very kind deeds and helping people pay their bills through social media and such, which, by the way, good on you. That's been cool to watch. I did also laugh when, legitimately people offered to lend their cat to you for a couple of days. So whatever you got to do, man, I'm thinking of you.
I think I'm gonna grab Ninja the cat from my dad. I'm gonna trade Nacho the Chihuahua to my dad for Ninja the cat, and then I can just give the dumb cat back after the cat has killed 17 rats and brought them up to our bedroom, probably with no heads. So looking
Right.
forward to that. Anyway, speaking of that, the NBA schedule, Sam. No segue. What is going to happen, and when is the season going to start? Sam, go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got the answer.
That's the easy one.
I mean, obviously, Adam Silver had a State of the League address yesterday on ESPN, and what struck me and a lot of others is that he is clearly not letting go of the season, and made a comment about how I'm paraphrasing, but he said, the optimistic sort, excuse me, and just used the word that, the idea of salvaging the season was still in play. And I think the eye-opening part, or the enlightening part, if you're trying to figure out where his head is at, is that he kind of just randomly would mention these different creative ideas that could be possible solutions. He mentioned a charity game with a select group of players that could, entertain people while they were, for the most part, in lockdown across the country, and things like that. Now, that wouldn't save the season, but it does show that he's pushing and he's thinking and he's trying to, find solutions here. I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens in terms of how they handle each medical update, because there seemed to be this sentiment of, well, we tried to lead the way out of sports, meaning suspending the season, and maybe we lead the way back in. The non-basketball writer in me, just the citizen, was a little wary and skeptical of that, because it sounds like a great way to frame something where you prematurely, try to jump back into a season for the sake of your own bottom line, and trying to frame it as, some sort of public service. So, we'll see. They're listening to the medical professionals. Obviously, testing remains a hot topic, not only because all of their players haven't been tested, but because, far more percentage of their players have been tested than the regular population. And then you have the dialogue about, just preferential treatment. So a lot of layers to it, but no clue when we're going to have hoops again, obviously.
Yeah, there's so many things in there, Sam. I'm going to go back to the testing part, though. What struck me was a tweet you had. It was last week after Rudy Gobert was announced that he had the coronavirus, that some players were concerned about not only getting it, but making that public. Is that what happened with the Nets? And then Durant obviously chose to make it public that he had that. So is that kind of where some are saying, that some may not look at this in the right way if I make this public? Where's that divide amongst players?
I mean, teams, I think based on the league protocol, teams don't feel obligated to share anything. Oh, speaking of which, there's a cat, guys. We need a cat, Dave?
Tell that cat to shut up. We're doing a radio show. That's my problem.
Hey.
He has no problem at just, hey, I'm a cat. I'm going to roll in here. I'm going to ruin the interview. And then by the end of this interview, guarantee you he's going to show you his butthole. That's what cats do.
It's nice. It's my fault. I chose to step outside.
Sorry.
Wow, that was loud.
That's what it sounds like.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the teams feel no more obligation than to announce hey, the Brooklyn Nets have had 4 players test positive. Now, without getting into it too much, the media side is interesting because, it's kind of unprecedented. Our Sean Charania had broken the Durant news, and I guess I would say it this way, like, we have a pretty good sense of who the other players are, but you kind of just, it's a calculated choice to just say, okay, Durant's the big name. He chose to go on record. Let's go ahead and kind of leave it there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, the privacy thing, I'm torn on it because I don't really think there's going to be nothing but sympathy for any person who has coronavirus right now. And the idea of being stigmatized, while, yes, I did, Jay, I conveyed that fear in the player community. I didn't necessarily understand it. But, medical privacy matters. This is different, though, because you're obviously impacting a lot of others. Every single person who has it, it then becomes a game of 6 degrees of of separation and who have they been in touch with. So there's a public health component to knowing the identity. In fact, yesterday I went back and forth with the league a little bit because they so far are choosing not to disclose the 8 teams that have been tested. Now we know, I think 4 or 5, Boston, Toronto, Utah, Lakers now, the Nets obviously, but there's a few others that have not been identified, and they're not sharing that. Now, those results, I think, will be shared, but, again, it's all new to everybody. They're trying to figure out how to do it.
Sam Amick of The Athletic joining us. And Sam, I don't just read you and Jason and everyone else. I try to read as much of The Athletic as possible. By the way, while you're sitting around doing absolutely nothing, it's a fine time, and I know they have a ton of deals on The Athletic right now, so you can read some pretty awesome journalism as a car.
Actually,
yeah.
Just to interject real fast.
Please.
Hey, you heard that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
Are you standing in a crosswalk? Okay.
I'm literally walking around the neighborhood.
Okay.
Is that allowed? Am I breaking rules
You're
here?
fine. Go ahead.
Jay's the PD. I don't want to
Good point.
get in trouble.
Jason's the
social space. Just be aware
6
of that.
feet away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the step counter. Just trying to get it moving.
Gotcha.
Stay healthy.
They have we're free for 90 days for The Athletic.
Oh,
they decided to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I will retweet that later if people want to check it out.
Sure. And while I'm reading the Free Athletic, I read Bill Orum's article, I think it was yesterday, and I've seen you kind of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I've seen your behavior on social media. I think, unless I miss my guess, you're a little bit on this side. And Jason and I have been talking about it for a couple days now. I'm not necessarily sure the NBA's caught up to the potential PR issues of having all these healthy players tested. And by healthy, I mean they're not in the danger demo. There's testing shortages. Bill made a point I agreed with in his article that the Lakers' move should have been our guys are asymptomatic. Instead of us testing, we're donating the money we would have used for testing to people that really need it. Do you sense that that's a potential PR bomb for Adam Silver if they keep testing this way?
Yeah, I do. And they need to let Adam handle that PR bomb and not Michelle Roberts,
right,
the Players Union head, who, in defense of the players, got very defensive yesterday. And even, she had one quote that was, that was going at the administration and saying, don't get mad at us, get mad at the government. And listen, I agree. That's actually a conversation that I had with Bill as he wrote that column, where I couldn't wrap my head around getting mad at the Lakers because I can't stop getting mad at the government for how slow we've been on the testing front. But within that, yeah, I think it's a PR situation for the league because it does send a bad message. You have now politicians, Bill de Blasio coming out the other day and tweeting, Mayor of New York, that the Nets, I hope they're healthy, but they shouldn't have a test that other people don't have. So I wonder behind the scenes if the PR component is in real time affecting, teams' decisions on whether or not to get tested, because it's not a great look. You sit here and say, hey, good luck to the rest of y'all, but, we can cut this check, so we're going to know whether we have it or not.
Sam, as this goes forward, I know Adam Silver also said yesterday, obviously the health of everybody is priority one. So if and when there's some sort of clearance here for the league to resume in whatever form it does, do you have any kind of a gauge on what kind of financial impact this will have on teams, on salary caps, on just the financial element of the league?
I don't. I would anticipate certainly, the cap going down a healthy amount, and it's a heck of a double whammy to have that happen after the China situation earlier in the season. I don't know. You wonder too.
Let me clarify, Sam, real quick. I'm sorry. I know it's probably obvious, but when you say the China situation, you're referring to Daryl Morey and that situation that was already impacting the cap. Okay.
Thank you for protecting my PR, Dave.
I got you. I know 98% of everyone knew what you meant, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when Daryl Morey, tweeted support of the protesters in Hong Kong and the Chinese government was upset and cut off games, and that was another major hit to the NBA's revenue because they had no streaming for quite some time, and then it hadn't even fully recovered, before this happened. So those two things are bad. And I wonder too, bad business-wise, I wonder too, going forward, how teams are going to survive and the PR stuff within that, meaning that so far, basically every owner has committed to varying levels, of paying arena workers during this time off. And the optics of that are good. But then you see a headline from yesterday that Tillman Fertitta, a Houston Rockets owner, within his other businesses, is telling people that they no longer have vacation pay. They have to give back time off, and they're cutting certain benefits because, the bottom line is starting to take a hit. So, what is the actual ripple effect of employees within the company? Are they going to be able to continue paying folks during this hiatus? It's easy for all of us to say, for the sake of charity, do the right thing, but each of these owners have different degrees of wealth, and I think over time we might start having that be a little bit more revealed.
Sam Amick with us. Sam, I want to preface this. Totally impossible question. Total speculation. It's just you hear and talk and listen and been around this a long time, and this is this game a long time. This is an unprecedented situation. Do you have in your mind a leader in the clubhouse as far as what the NBA is going to do? Do you have the ability even to rank possible situations, or is it your guess is as good as mine, no clue thing?
I mean, until Adam's interview yesterday, I would have been in, the team no season, see you next year type thing, based on the gravity of the kind of the information being shared by the medical professionals. Then you hear Adam's tone, and he's not letting go of the rope. Now, again, this kind of goes back to testing, because if they can't have clarity on their players and their status, then you can't get your players together. This is maybe a reach, but like if you go back when Magic Johnson was HIV positive, and there was so little certainty about how that worked, and the fear was rampant among players, nobody wanted to play with him. And so if I'm a player, and then they're talking about, hey, let's go to a neutral location, neutral site, let's have the playoffs, and we'll just have the standings be as is. Sorry, Sacramento. Sorry, New Orleans. Memphis gets the A spot, whatever. I mean, if you're a player, like, do you really want to share that ball with that person? Because you can wash your hands during timeout, but what if you make the mistake of, putting your hand in your face? So, without the testing, which we are seeing is maybe available but problematic, then I just don't know how you go there.
I mean, this is not an easy one, and I think about that on your scenario of, sorry Sacramento, sorry New Orleans, sorry all these other teams. I wonder what those owners, obviously everybody's losing in this. This isn't what anybody asked for, but their push to Adam Silver of, hey, look, we still could make up 18 games here. I know it'll be difficult. I'm curious what those owners' conversations have been with him.
Probably restrained, because it's just hard. It's a tough time.
Sure.
Right now to say, hey, what about our A seed?
Right. Right.
And so, I mean, even last night you could tell when Adam was asked by Rachel Nichols about records and awards and things of that nature, and like how this would be reflected in the history books, basketball wise. Like it struck me that, I mean, he's clearly had that thought cross his mind, but his only answer to her was, I'm not there yet. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think, that probably applies to, hey, the Kings thought they had a shot. What the hell? You know what I mean? But it just kind of is what it is at this point. To your original question, if I had a leader in the clubhouse, knowing Adam, I would not be shocked if he doesn't find some very outside the box way to have like something take place that is tied to this season, whether it's a play-in tournament or you just pick the top 4 teams and have like an asterisk champion type thing. because you were able to test those 4 teams, whoever they were, so maybe something happens, but it seems obviously pretty challenging right now.
No doubt. Well, Sam, enjoy your walk. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you, guys. Hang in there.